Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for the Wildcat Way Show. I am Kari E. Valance.
And I'm Kendale Lumpkins. Welcome to the newly dropped episode of the Wildcat Way Show, a show in which we hope encourages and inspires all who are watching on our YouTube and or podcast channel.
Now, a new episode of the Wildcat Way Show will drop every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. We'll discuss current events and topics that are impacting us in our communities and how we are intentionally staying positive through all aspects of our lives. And today we're going to try another one of these two-part series that we started last week. This episode will be talking about having healthy relationships, and we'll follow up next week with outgrowing friendships. And I think that that's a topic that all of our viewers and listeners, I know we ourselves, just everyone has really had to deal with throughout at some point of their lives.
Yeah, and so Kari, when you think about relationships, I think knowing it's now, it makes it much better. This is why I always tell people, be cautious of who you hang with, be careful with who you're around,
right?
Because that shapes your life.
Sure.
Like the relationships, the people that you interact with, the people that you associate yourself with, those people have an effect on you directly.
Absolutely.
And I think, to me, from a healthy relationship perspective, I would say you want to start with yourself, right? People that don't treat themselves well, people that don't have a healthy relationship with themselves, it's impossible for them to have a healthy relationship with anybody else.
Right.
And I use this saying all the time: if you don't love you, then I know it's impossible for you to love me.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember one time my father saying, before Joan and I got married, like during our engagement process, he's like, "Sweetie, you're never going to be able to love and be loved unless you love yourself. Do you truly love yourself?" And he and I had a wonderful, father-daughter moment on the back patio, just having a really wonderful talk. And I was like, yeah, I love myself, and I know that this man will help complete me and help motivate me to become even better and better throughout life. And this is the person that I want to be the best friends with forever.
Right. And Kari, the reason why that's so powerful, that conversation that you had with your dad, is because being married or having relationships with other people, like, you can unconsciously think that it's their responsibility to make you happy.
Oh, right.
Right? You can unconsciously think that it's my wife or it's Kari's responsibility to brighten up my day.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying, when it starts with yourself, that's what I mean. Like, I bring my own energy. I bring what I bring to the table, and I'm not expecting you, oh, well, Kari could be going through something. So do I let that make me be off because she may be not so good today? So I think it starts with you, and I think some people don't really grasp that concept. They go in situations or relationships and think that it's other people that should be making them happy or doing something for them.
And that's just doing a disservice to yourself, and not only to yourself, but to potential friends that you can have, and connections and relationships with that you can cultivate throughout the years. If you are not happy with yourself, or if you're not true to yourself, if you try to be someone that you're not, you are not going to be able to cultivate a real strong, long-lasting friendship and relationship.
Because when you pretend to be something that you're not, you attract people that's attracted to what you're pretending to be.
Right.
So whenever you wake up and decide to be the real you, those people that you have gotten close to or attached to because you were pretending, those people are going to eventually fall off.
Absolutely.
So it's okay to be yourself, right? It's okay with starting with me. Who am I? What I love, what I like, and can I make myself happy? Can I enjoy my own company? I'm telling you, I sit at my house a lot of times.
Right. And
nobody's there, and I'm watching Martin, Fresh Prince, Family Matters, and I really enjoy my own company.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of hard for people that don't enjoy their own company to really have a healthy relationship with other people, because you're depending on people to do something for you that they don't have the capacity to do. So that's why it's so important to start with you, start with your beliefs, start with your character and what you find valuable, and then you could go and bring something to the table when it comes to relationships.
Well, that's the thing. You have to know yourself and able to bring that thing to the table, right?
Yeah.
If you're pretending, if you're just gonna wear a mask all the time and not be your true authentic self, then you have nothing to attribute to any type of relationship, because you're not bringing anything to the table. Just because you're pretending to be, super outgoing, or you're just faking it, and then you really don't know that you need some of that self-reflection time to become one with yourself again and to really figure out who you are in your core.
Because Kari, when you're pretending, like, it's hard for me to realize that it shows a level of insecurity.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because you're pretending to be something which says I don't like what I really am. So now I have to put on this mask or put on this front in order for other people to like me. And so I like me, Kari, like I love myself, which makes it that much easier for me to get along with other people.
I agree. Like I'd want to hang out with me if I wasn't me, you know. But I mean,
and that's not arrogant. That's not being egotistical. That's just being real about who you are.
Right. But then I feel that same way about my friends, right? My husband is my best friend. I choose him above anybody else. I just like sitting on the back porch with him and hanging out and watching a show and telling jokes and laughing. My work friends, I choose who I spend the time with at work. Do you know what I mean? Like if we're going out to lunch, I want to go to lunch with Alex and see what she's doing today and talk with her. I love spending time with you at work. Like you're somebody that I really enjoy talking to, getting to know, spending that quality time with. Our friends, you know, we're busy, we're married, we have children, we have work, we have lives. So I have to make it a point to say, I'm going on vacation with my friends April and Paul. I'm going to dinner with my girlfriend Tran. I'm going to make a point to go to Baton Rouge to our friend Michael's house. Like I make a point to spend that time, because if I'm not spending time with them, if I'm spending time with them, I'm taking it away from my husband and my kids. Do you know what I mean?
And then it goes back to what we mentioned at first. It starts with who you are, right? So it's easy for me to come in here, do this show, have a good time with us hanging out, talking, laughing, joking, because I have a sense that Kari is okay with who she is. Right? And people know it. People can tell when you're genuine. People can tell when you have an ulterior motive or something that you're hiding. So it's just okay to just be yourself, but do the internal work, because that takes a lot of work too. I hadn't always been at this place. I hadn't always been in, and I laugh all the time. People say, well, you're just so positive. I'm like, no, I work to be this way. I'm not always like this. Everything don't go good in my day all the time, but I make a point, because it leads me to the next thing that I want to talk about, the consideration piece for others, right?
Absolutely.
Your relationship, your life does not just affect you. Whenever I go to the gym in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, there's other people in there working out. I can't bring my baggage. I can't bring a negative attitude, because then that affects everybody in here, right? And so I think so many people think that they're just in relationships just for themselves and not considering how it affects other people.
Well, it's just having the empathy with other people as well, you know. Of course, you don't want to be the Debbie Downer in any type of relationship, but there is a certain time, especially if they're your true friends and you are going through something and you need to talk something through, or you just need to vent a little bit, and then you can just say, I just need a minute to get through this, and then we'll go about having like our time together. But if you can just help me through this situation, that's what friends are for.
And so, Kari, but people, when you're with those kind of people, they know that. Opposed to the person that's just negative all the time. You just always got something. Life, the sky is always falling. Like people really get tired of talking. Every time your phone turn around, you ring. Oh, I ain't answering that, because I know that's going to be negative. I know that conversation is not going to be healthy, right?
And you don't want to put your battery into that life, right? And to spend some of yourself divulging into that.
Yeah, because considering how my actions affect other people has helped me build those healthy relationships, right? Because I could be going through something, Kari, but what I really believe is not your fault. Whenever I go to work, whenever I come here and I see people, like nobody really knows what I'm going through. Nobody really knows what just happened at home, or what I got to deal with, or a bill that I need to pay, or a kid that may be acting a certain way. But I have a responsibility to be emotionally intelligent enough to come here and not project that on you, because I want the relationship to stay strong. Because the worst thing that could happen is people see you coming and they say, well, he getting ready to tell me all this. But every day you got that. Like that would get kind of draining, right?
You're just like a negative Nancy all the time. Just, yes. I mean, nobody really wants to be around that, but then you have to be mindful enough to know that there's a difference. You don't have to be scared around your friends to vent some things
we understand.
Into unleash. Exactly.
We understand.
Or to ask for help, or to ask for guidance with some issue that you're going through.
And when you have real friends and you have a healthy relationship, I honestly believe that those people get it. Those people know, like, man, I need to check on that person. They just went through a hard time in their life. Let me call and see how they're doing. And even if they're not, and that's another thing that I didn't mention earlier, but I think it's so powerful whenever we talk about healthy relationships. You have to have the capacity to be able to bear the blow of other people's stuff that they deal with.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it can't just be about you getting all the time. You have to be willing to say, okay, look, this may not go like I want it to go. This situation, this person may be falling apart. And if I love them, let me help them.
Well, that all goes into like fairness and reciprocity, right? If I'm going to divulge something to you and unload, then I have to be ready in a few weeks for you to go through something.
Because we all go through it.
And to bear the brunt, of course. And, you know, I mean, we can go through it in the course of a day. You know, I can wake up on a high and then get some awful news at noon. And then by 5 o'clock when I pick up my kids, be just emotionally fulfilled again. You know what I mean? Everyone's days goes like that. And all your true friends and your inner circle knows how to deal with things like that within each other.
Yeah, and I think that's the health part of it. Not expecting to just get, but we be willing to give.
Right.
And that goes a long way with me, because for me, I struggle with people because I believe we all could be selfish. I believe we all have selfish in us. We all have a nature about us where we want it our way, we want to do it our way. But like, you can't live in that emotion. Yeah, well, you can't live there, because then people start to see, man, he's self-centered, she's self-centered. All they think about is themselves. They self-glorify, and they're always talking about what they got. And I'm like, man, that could be like, who wants to be around a person like that? Absolutely,
absolutely. And people will tune into that more so than they will, you know, the 75% of positivity that you're bringing. They'll be like, well, but is that negativity really who they are in their core, on their inside? And are they just masking it with that, you know? So you do have to kind of be aware of what you're perpetuating through friendships. And I feel like that's something that a lot of younger people can struggle through, right? Like, we've gone through a lot of things in our lives. We're older young adults, we have kids, we know what's important to us. But I mean, gosh, when I was like in high school and early college and I didn't know who I was really, I had my friends that I grew up with, and they were what I thought like my ride or die people. And we were all the same, and we didn't know any different, and we just grew up in the same small town, and we didn't know anything else than living in the bayou in our little small world. We didn't know about the other things out there and the other ways of lives and the other type of people that we had no idea can make an impact on our lives.
Yeah, and Kari, what I also believe is that you could get so caught up in who you're with because you grew up with them and not realize that if they're not telling you the truth, if they're not being honest with you, then they may not be the best for you. Right? Because I wouldn't expect to come in here one day, and I don't drink, but come in here drunk one day, right? And I'm staggered, and Kari never says anything.
Right, yeah.
Right, I may feel comfortable because you're cool with that.
Right, yeah.
But then I start to think about it, like, does she really care about my well-being? Or she heard me somewhere and I'm cursing up a storm and she didn't come and check that? Then does Kari really care about me? And my dad would tell me the hard truth. And I would run from it at the time, right? Because as a kid, you don't want to hear that all the time. Your dad's always on you. But now I appreciate people that are honest, people that tell the truth and say, hey man, look, that may not be the best decision. You probably shouldn't say that. You probably shouldn't do that, right? So,
well, I mean, because you would expect me to check you real quick and just be like, hey, this is not a part of your character. Why are you acting like this? Something else must be going on. And sometimes those surface friends don't know the cues in order to reach out to you and make sure that you might need some help.
And so the healthy part of it is just like going to the gym. Not all relationships that are healthy don't have any conflict, right? So healthy relationships do have conflict, disagreements, things that they don't always see eye to eye on. But it's just like when I say going to the gym, you don't get stronger at the gym by keeping the same weight and not adding any pressure or resistance to where you're trying to go, right? So if you want a healthy relationship, my marriage, I'm telling you, like on any given day, my wife and I may disagree with something. But it's healthy because we can have those disagreements and push past them. Right. But people have this fairy tale think that, oh, well, they don't have any issues going on and life is just grand. I'm like, man, where do you live? Where do you get that from? That's not real.
Well, that's just because communication is key in any type of relationship, right? So if you start withholding your feelings and withholding what you truly value and think in your mind, then that's just going to be to the detriment of your relationship. If it's a friendship, if it's your marriage, if it's a new relationship that you're trying to form, you know, think about years ago, the butterflies, the first date. Of course, you're trying to put your best foot forward, and you are trying to be the best version of yourself. But you know, month 3 or 4, after a couple dozen dates, you kind of see a little thing. And you have to make sure that you are willing to be comfortable enough within your own skin so you can just kind of unveil yourself to someone and be your open and honest self. Are you ready to join the fastest growing community college in Mississippi? Pearl River Community College is ready for you. With improvements at each of our 4 locations in Poplarville, Hattiesburg, Waveland, and online, securing your future has never been more exciting. 42 career and technical programs and academic transfer options allow you to build a bright future at the river. When faced with adversity, Wildcats never quit. Visit prcc.edu to learn more.
And give people a safe place, right? And give them the grace and the mercy that you need to. Because when you talk about the butterflies initially, like I'm able to see past that stuff now because I've been married for 7 years and my wife and I know, I'm talking about I see her without her makeup, I see her at her worst whenever she sees me at my worst, and we find a way to love each other anyway, right? And I think people could see past that when you're pretending. It's just a matter of us saying, do I have enough capacity to deal with the flaws? Right? Because if you're expecting people to be perfect, there's no way you can have a healthy relationship. If you're not expecting them to make a mistake and fall short sometime, then there's no possible way you can have a healthy relationship with another human being.
And that goes with friendships as well. And you have to be willing to apologize or to reach out for an apology. Sometimes even if you aren't in the wrong, you can still take the first step and say, listen, are you going through something? I didn't like the way that we spoke to each other yesterday. Can we talk about it? You don't even have to ask for an apology from them. You can just talk it through and then gradually let the both of you come to a realization of what was really happening in that moment.
Yeah, because when we talk about the consideration piece for others, it's not only so much about me projecting the energy onto you, it's also considered enough that, hey, Kari may be experiencing something at a bad moment in her day, right? And so don't hold that against her for the rest of your life. Be willing to forgive, let that go, have a conversation about it. But people don't do this enough, Kari, and I know it's funny, but people are immature to the point where you can have a bad moment and that'll be your rest of your life story, right? And they'll say, well, this person is like that, but I'm like, hey man, you've been knowing me. I had a bad moment. It's okay. I said something that I shouldn't have said, because if my wife would have left me after the first time I said something, she probably would have left me probably the first 6 months right after we got married, because I probably said something I shouldn't have said, did something I shouldn't have done, but she loved me enough to say, hey man, look, you're human, I get it. And we have to be willing to give that to other people too. Yeah,
just be forgiving, but also communicate your way through it, because sometimes, and I feel like this might be like a girl thing in friendship, and I don't know really how guys, when they're like going up through high school and stuff like that, deal with it, but sometimes with a group of girlfriends, especially when you're younger, if you get in an argument, you just cut off. And and I mean, looking back, like now, sometimes, my husband and I will like take a step back, but it'll be for like 30 minutes. Like, let me go take a walk, let him go ride his bike for a little bit. But like, you know, girls, when they're growing up, they'll take a step back for like a week and then just not talk to you and then come back together and then like not resolve the issue, you know?
So I don't think it's, so now you may see it with girls because you grew up around, but I'm telling you, guys can be the same way too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because people can be so petty to the point where they don't, and so I grew up and I have like tough skin. My dad was kind of, you know, overbearing. He was real hard on us, which helped me now in life, because there's not too much that a person can say to me that can make me not want to talk to them, especially if you're in my quality world. If I know you, if I love you, if we have a conversation, if we talk all the time, then, but I have people that I know that you have to be gentle with them, and these are guys. If you say the wrong thing to them,
just cut you off.
Oh, they don't want to talk anymore. But I got guys that can tell me the hard, cold truth. We're arguing about LeBron James and Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, and stuff gets heated. They're not calling you out your name, but you just have a disagreement. And then the next few minutes, all right, man, what you doing later?
Totally fine.
Let's go get some wings or something. And we good, right? But there are guys that I do know that can't stand that, right? They could dish it out,
but they can't
take it. And so I think it just, I used to think it was when you're a certain age you get to that place. But Kari, I know people in their 30s, I know people in their 40s that are not in healthy relationships because they don't take care of themselves first. They don't consider how their actions affect other people. And I think that's big when it comes to healthy relationships.
Well, I think with that though, to build a healthy relationship, you have to really be like consistent and reliable in your way of mind, right? In your thinking, because if I know you and I know that you're gonna look at everything from the most positive, uplifting, how do we push through it, how do we make this work attitude, then I know I can come to you and I know I can rely on you for that. But if I'm questioning you as a friend, is he gonna be consistent in the way he's thinking that I think he is? Then that's not gonna, make for a good relationship.
Yeah,
there.
because when you talk about the consistency piece, like I take pride in being even keel. Whether my life is falling apart behind the scenes,
right.
The optimistic approach is just me saying, I know it don't last. I know it won't be like this forever.
Right.
And you need people in your life that are even keel, because the worst thing you can be is on an emotional roller coaster every day of your life.
Oh, sure.
And then now you project that on other people, and you wonder why people don't come to you. Like, and I said this, I heard people say this before. If you want a friend, just be a friend.
Oh,
like,
sure.
be somebody that people can come to. Be somebody, and then watch what happes automatically.
Absolutely.
It unconsciously happens. Where people are just, you know what, I don't mind hanging out with that person. I don't mind being around them, because you've shown yourself to be consistent. You've shown yourself to be reliable. You can be counted on. And one thing that people know about, I can't stand being late. Right? I hate being late.
Right.
But I do be late sometimes.
It happens.
And and I got my trainer, I always say that this cat here is a stickler for time. If he has to be somewhere at 10:30, he's gonna be there at 10:10. Like early.
Early.
That's just his nature.
Yeah.
And so early on, we working out, he like, man, look, y'all need to get here early. But over time he saw, man, these guys are really trying. They're really trying to be the best that they could be.
Right.
So there's some grace that you allow, but there was some consistency that he showed, that I showed in myself. Like, hey, yeah, man, he show up on time.
Right.
He's not late every day.
Right. It happens. I mean, you're human. You fault sometimes, but it's just like a little bit of lateness. But you try to, this is another thing, set the boundaries, right? And boundaries can be good or bad. Like, if you want one of your boundaries in life to be, I put it upon myself to not have people wait for me, because I don't want people to think that their time is not valuable.
Exactly.
Because I do value other people's time. I'd rather wait on other people than have them wait for me. So I do try to get places early, and if I'm late, I'm like an overcompensator to try to make it better in any way that I can. Because if I'm late, I'm going to stop and pick up cookies and bring them to you and just make it okay. But you have to really put those boundaries out there in every aspect of your friendship, whether they be good boundaries or bad boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, it could be like, this is what I expect from you, and this is what I'm not going to tolerate. Yeah,
because you could easily become a doormat if you don't have boundaries, right? And I'm not naive to think that everybody has the best intentions for me, right? Some people could see me and see certain things that we're doing and try to attach themselves to it, but not add no value to it.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And so for me, I am to other people. This is just something that I've coined, or that I phrased, that I live my life by. I am to other people what I want them to be to me. Now, everybody may not have the capacity to be that, but if you don't have the capacity, there's only certain places in my life I'll let you go, because you shown me that I can't rely on. You shown me that it's just one-sided, and I also think that it's a great point to bring up. Relationships shouldn't be forced.
Absolutely,
right? I should not have to make you want to do this show with me.
Right, yeah.
If I got to drag you in, come on, Kari, come on, we got another show, and you're not just as excited, then this really is not a healthy relationship.
Absolutely.
If I got to make my wife want to be married, if I got to make my friends want to talk to me, that's kind of crazy to me, that I got to run you down if you want to do it.
Right.
And people make excuses for things that they don't want to do.
Right.
But they find time for the things that they do want to do.
Right.
And so that's what I believe in my heart. So the relationship that I have is mutual. Everybody's in it. They bring something, I bring something. We all love each other. We all want to be around each other. There's nothing forced. There's nothing fake about it.
Right.
And that's what I value the most about healthy relationships.
Absolutely. And I think that's a point that a lot of people can falter on, right? Because they think that maybe this, abusive relationship is all that I'm meant to have, right? And it doesn't even have to always be physical, but maybe a friend is, mentally abusive to you, or treating you as if you are a doormat, not letting you have your own voice, not letting you have opinions, not being able to express yourself in a certain way. Maybe you'd rather go and join the art club instead of going to hang out at the basketball courts or whatever after your school that day. You have to take it, like we said at the beginning, be comfortable enough with yourself to internalize that and be mindful and take your steps to say, this is what I want to do and this is what's going to make me happy. If you're my friend, you'll support me in that.
And be okay enough that you're not for everybody.
Right. It just doesn't always work out.
Because Kari, I can't force myself. Or I can't force people to like me. I can't force people to want to be around me.
Sure.
Like, just think about that. How could you possibly do that? So that's why whenever it comes to relationships, I don't see how people are in relationships with people that don't want to be with them.
Right. Like,
they've shown you that they don't call. They've shown you that they don't never respond. They've shown you that they're not interested.
Right.
And you're still pursuing it. What about you do you think you could change them? And I think a level of insecurity happens whenever we don't deal with the real us and say, well, instead of trying to force that person to love me, instead of trying to force that person in my life, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go find people that are for me.
And it doesn't always have to be that people that are so like-minded as you, that you'll have the same exact goals and values and drive and determination. Because I feel like you do need people in your lives that are different, because you can thrive off of that. You can learn from that. You can broaden your horizons, go on different adventures, go hunting with somebody that you never went hunting with before. Like, you can have all of these different learning aspects of your lives by surrounding yourself with just a different mix of people. And I think that especially a lot of times when you're younger and before you're really comfortable with who you are on the inside, you just surround yourself with people that are either exactly like you or who are close enough to you, just because, you know, location wise.
Yeah, because you're not exposed to enough, right? So people that are in my life now, we have similar stories, but a lot of them are different. A lot of them were raised different than me.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I got friends now that have doctorate degrees. I just got my bachelor's degree, so they push me to be better. They push me to be exposed to something that I wasn't exposed to growing up whenever I'm from where I'm from. So it's good that I got friends in my life that don't think like me, don't look like me, don't act like me, because they give me another level of exposure that I wouldn't have had if I was just around people that were just like me.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a great spot to start. Next week, we're going to talk about the flip side of this, and that is outgrowing relationships, right? And that is something that a lot of people have to go through at different times of their lives. So be sure to tune in next Tuesday at 10 a.m. and to follow all of our social media accounts. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We will have a new show coming up on our YouTube channel at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, and it will drop on iTunes at 10 a.m. as well. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week.